easy to pick up a camera or use any fancy editing software. With Doodly, you drag, you drop, you tweak some settings, and boom!
Hey guys, welcome to Hip Hughes History. It was Thomas Jefferson that said an educated citizenry is a vital requisite for our survival as a free people. And that's why we're going cray-cray for the learning on the internets and the YouTubes. We're going to see if we can't knock out the 7th Amendment to the Bill of Rights. It's not going to take long. Straightforward, short and sweet. 7 is civil, baby. So let's do it bang bang style. Let's do the learning on the YouTubes. All right, let's read the words. Are you ready for me? Watch this.
In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law.
All right, there's really 2 parts here, guys, and they're really straightforward. The first part is in reference to a jury trial in a civil case. According to common law, and this goes back to Great Britain and kind of judicial decisions that occurred over there, springing forth from the Magna Carta. So there's a couple of exceptions to common law, but basically what it means is if it's not a criminal trial, that's taken care of, the 6th Amendment, that you have the right to a jury trial if there's a lawsuit, if you're suing somebody or being sued, except for maritime cases, which is like naval kind of stuff. If you're suing the government or if it has something to do with patents, pretty much any other lawsuit type of case, you have the right to a jury trial. That has been defined as having at least 6 members on the jury. So it has to be a unanimous decision. Now this is for federal cases, of course. This is an amendment that has not been selectively incorporated, which means that the judicial branch has not interpreted the 14th Amendment. No state shall deny its citizens equal protection and the Due Process Clause, and has basically incorporated most of the rights in the Bill of Rights, but not number 7, but it doesn't matter because every state has jury trials for civil trials. Now the second part, in reference to this kind of facts thing, basically the idea is there's a big worry that Article 3 and Section 2 specifically, and you can look at that right up on the wall, basically is saying that the Supreme Court has the right to review appellate decisions based on fact. So the big worry is that the courts that are appointed are going to be able to basically nullify jury decisions. So on facts. So if a jury decides that, I don't know, somebody gets awarded X amount of money, or that there was a certain type of pollution that led to a disease, and that disease now needs to be compensated by a company, or something like that. The fear is that because of Article 3, Section 2, that the federal branch would be able to change the facts of decisions that were made by juries. So basically what this says is, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is you can have appellate jurisdiction. You can look at constitutional issues, but you're not going to re-examine. It's called the re-examine clause. You're not going to re-examine the facts that were found true by a jury. It's none of your business. It was Hamilton, and I think Fed 83, that argued this wouldn't be a problem, that it would just go back and there'd be another jury trial anyway. And he was confident that jury trials would be secured in common law through congressional action. But the anti-Feds were having none of it. They were like, I don't think so, Alexander. So the 7th Amendment. All right, we certainly want you to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Click the button right there and you'll zip through the internets onto the YouTubes where you can subscribe and get updates and new videos and such like that. Check the description below. We have tons of other EDU channels that you probably should be watching. And we'll see you next time. You know what I'm going to say. Where attention goes, energy flows. There we go. That's true all the time. Hey guys, welcome to Hip Hughes History. It was Thomas Jefferson that said an educated citizenry is a vital requisite for our survival as a free people. And that's why we're going cray-cray for the learning on the internets and the YouTubes. We're going to see if we can't knock out the 7th Amendment to the Bill of Rights. It's not going to take long. Straightforward, short and sweet. 7 is civil, baby. So let's do it bang bang style. Let's do the learning on the YouTubes. All right, let's read the words. Are you ready for me? Watch this.
In suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law.
All right, there's really two parts here, guys, and they're really straightforward. The first part is in reference to a jury trial in a civil case. According to common law, and this goes back to Great Britain and kind of judicial decisions that occurred over there, springing forth from the Magna Carta. So there's a couple of exceptions to common law, but basically what it means is if it's not a criminal trial, that's taken care of, the Sixth Amendment, that you have the right to a jury trial if there's a lawsuit, if you're suing somebody or being sued, except for maritime cases, which is like naval kind of stuff. If you're suing the government or if it has something to do with patents, pretty much any other lawsuit type of case, you have the right to a jury trial. That has been defined as having at least 6 members on the jury. So it has to be a unanimous decision. Now this is for federal cases, of course. This is an amendment that has not been selectively incorporated, which means that the judicial branch has not interpreted the 14th Amendment, no state shall deny its citizens equal protection, and the Due Process Clause, and has
hello, Razor. How are you?
Howdy, howdy. You good? How you doing?
So, if it sounds like I have a slight cold, I do. That's my cough.
Uh-oh.
It's not bad. It just sounds worse than what it is.
No. I'm not worried.
Unless they give you a computer virus. Yeah, right.
All right.
I hate those damn masks. How I hate them.
The little masks. Oh, I thought you said like the wintertime cold. Yeah, masks. They're good. Today there was a wicked wind in Montreal.
Today here too.
Oh my goodness. And I went out skating with my kid. There was like a park where they have a circular kind of, it's like a little moat basically. But in the winter it becomes a little skating thing.
Okay.
Holy, it was cold.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I had to run into a thing, came out with my mask. It's like, oh, this is all right. And I had to tie the kid's skates. I'm sitting there. I already got my gloves off, It's like this, the mask in the wintertime, I got to say, it's a fairly handy replacement for a scarf. But I wouldn't want to wear it 8 hours a day. Oh, gosh.
No.
Oh, gosh.
My goodness. And we hit -2 today. 30 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Fahrenheit, -2 Celsius. It wasn't.
Oh, I thought you were saying 2 Fahrenheit. I'm like, oh, 2 Fahrenheit, that's
no,
cold.
2 Fahrenheit's pretty cold. No, we had -2 Celsius today. Plus, it was the wind, and it really cut right through me.
Yeah, the wind. Yeah. I know that one. That one's like because of the humidity, and you guys are right on the ocean there.
Yeah.
That changes it. When I was in Alberta, like -20, it felt like maybe -10 here. Because here we have more humidity than there. It cuts through, like you said, it cut. And then at like -5 in New York, I'm sure that probably cuts even more than the Montreal one.
I don't care how you put it dry or not. -5 is fucking cold.
I was talking to someone. Well, it was this. I take this thing to try and talk better. Well, I took it in the past, anyways. It's called Toastmasters. You know this one?
Toastmasters.
It's this dumb little club, and it's an educational thing at work, anyways, where it helps you to kind of speak better. You give better speeches, something like this, right?
Okay.
That's neither here nor there. Anyways, we had a meeting. And I brought that up. I don't know why I was like thinking, why did I have to bring up Toastmasters? Totally didn't. But it was but my little speech was about winter and why do you and I have to suffer through winter? And basically I kind of made a joke out of it. going through evolution and saying, well, it was those people that decided to leave the Mediterranean and move north. Those are the people that are at fault. Like if we all would have just stayed, like, Italy was kind
At
of
the
the
equator,
for
at the equator would be it wouldn't be any good either because they don't go below like what 100 degrees, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, like
there's a,
70. So
it's true. There was a certain scientist that was saying like there was an ideal spot where if it's too warm, a lot of other organisms can exist, including things that could hurt us, right? Not just
right
lions and tigers, but
and
like
bears. Oh, no.
parasites and diseases, malaria, these kind of things can exist there. They just can't live in Canada, you know what I mean? Spiders,
Yeah, a
there are
lot of
no
them.
poisonous, there are zero poisonous spiders, zero poisonous snakes in all of Canada.
And look at Australia.
Oh my
So
gosh. Oh,
Australia's got the most poisonous animals, and not even like a little poisonous. Animals that can kill you in seconds.
oh.
I wouldn't want to move there. And
Australia.
they got something called a brown recluse spider. Like people wake up with that in their shoe, and they stick their foot in it. They get stung, and they have like permanent damage in their feet now.
Ay, yoy.
Because the venom is just that. It's well, you know what? It's evolution too. Getting back to that, each animal becomes more destructive or more dangerous than the last one. So you have to keep up. Like cheetahs wouldn't be able to exist if gazelles couldn't run that fast. Right? So gazelles have to hit 70 miles an hour. So a cheetah has to hit 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There has to be some kind of equilibrium, right? So if a spider has to be that poisonous, then the snake has to be that poisonous in
Yeah.
order to catch that spider.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Oh, and each one steps up its game. Yeah, it's like the arms race of the nature,
Right. It's
almost
not
like it's
right to
like
nature, yeah.
one has to be. What did they said that about camouflage too? Like one had to be more camouflage, and the other one got better
Right.
eyesight, and the other one got better camouflage, and the other one got better eyesight, or something like this. Like it's a simple, the arms
And when
race.
you and when we introduce animals that don't belong to certain ecosystems,
Yeah,
all hell breaks loose.
yeah,
Like the Americans brought the bullfrog to Australia. Cause now this is causing a ton of destruction because number one, the bullfrogs don't have any natural predators.
hmm
Two, they emit a venom from their teeth. So animals native to Australia can't eat them. So and we're eating all the other food that the other animals need. So they're just multiplying out of control.
yeah. And it all
And
happened,
there's
and
no
it was
natural way to stop them.
yeah, and it's like something that like is like whoopsie. That's not a natural thing to like carry an animal from one side of the world to the other side. I've heard that too about different things, and but nature will, as it does, find an equilibrium. Like
Always.
we fucked up the equilibrium. It'll find an equilibrium. The same thing, like you say
But
that
they,
in
but
invasive
yeah,
species. Like when you talk about invasive species, as I
yeah,
mentioned earlier, humans we're actually an invasive species for the rest of the planet, other
yeah,
than
yeah.
what I mean, like the original place that we lived, and it just we expanded it entirely. But I'm sure that nature will help us find an equilibrium. If
I'm sure there'll be some kind of a disease, disaster, or whatever that
that's
will
it.
wipe us all out. Anytime, well, get into that too. Anytime humans come from another continent to conquer something else, this is we're going way back now, 1400s, 1500s. When the Europeans came here at first, we brought diseases that the
hmm
natives couldn't fight against. So
Bingo.
we wiped out 70% of them just from diseases they couldn't fight.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, I heard that too. Like there was some discussions in Canada maybe, but whether it was on purpose or by accident that they brought what was the big one? Smallpox, I think.
smallpox, yeah.
And it had already gone around Europe. It was still pretty nasty as a disease, but they brought it here and it wiped out like half of the population as soon as like one
Something like
blanket
that.
came into a community. And then they said, well, that was on purpose, but anyways, whether it was on purpose or not, it was totally devastating. You know what I mean? Like if it
They
was
had
on
no idea.
purpose, it would only
It
taken a
was.
few months more before someone coughed on someone else. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
whether
They should
the
have worn masks.
it would have been like beaver skin masks. You know?
Could you imagine all the history books with the Europeans were wearing masks?
I wonder what. Oh, I don't know. You know, but yeah, what would different people of different eras have done with different information, like smallpox, like
Right,
the
right.
Black Plague? You know, like you see the things that they used to wear. Like all the doctors would wear this big mask like this. You know what I
Yeah, with
mean?
the horn, and they had
It
yeah.
looked like a crow almost.
Excuse me. They actually, the doctors used to wear the mask with the big horn, right? You talking about that one with the horn?
It always reminded me of a crow. Like it's almost like
Exactly.
a
Yeah, yeah.
bird with a really long beak. But yeah, like a horn. It was like a horn over their face. Yeah, yeah.
They put poppies in the horn to ward off the disease. That's what the horn was for. No, I'm serious.
It was to
That's what the
hold
horn.
poppies.
Yeah.
Wow, like I didn't know that one.
So if they were, they could be getting high too on that stuff. I don't know if it's not. If
Like if
that's
it was
possible.
if the proper
But just
kind of pop.
poppy flowers. Just poppy flowers. I don't know if they can get high. I don't know if you get high just in the flower. I know you need to get the nectar or something to get high.
Yeah,
But the
it has to be the
seeds,
right poppies. It has to be the
yeah,
really, and it has to be diluted or not diluted. I mean,
as they treat it,
yeah. What's the opposite of diluting something? It's making it more
concentrating.
concentrated. Yeah, and so to get out that opium, and then they take opium and make it even more concentrated, and then you get morphine and some of these ones, or not more concentrated,
Heroin,
but more processed at least.
right?
I don't know. I haven't tried. I don't think I've ever tried
Yeah,
either of
but
them. I don't think I've been to the hospital before, but I don't think I ever had morphine, and I've never
I
tried
have.
opium for sure or heroin. I don't.
I've been on the Demerol. My brother is currently on what the hell is it called? Percocet. I had
I don't know it.
the other one's like the V Vicodin, and my father was on Percocet. So I took a Percocet here and there.
Is that like
Yeah,
a?
it does.
Is that the one that's just like heroin?
Yeah,
The
it's a
same
it's an
molecule.
opiate. That's not a heroin. It's an opiate derivative, and it's very very good for
Oh.
you.
Okay, so it didn't actually come from poppies. It came from a lab or something. Or
No,
opiate derivative?
it's not. It does come from poppies, but not directly. It has to be
Ah,
processed,
okay.
like you
Oh,
said.
okay. Oh, derivative. Yeah, yeah, okay. Processed. Okay, okay, okay. I got you. Like each one of those is this opioid derivative.
Yes, yeah.
Really? I've heard
And
those names
some,
before, but I don't look up molecules. I don't care. I wouldn't
yeah.
remember anyways, but yeah.
Well, I remember if it affects me and my family directly, I tend to remember a little better.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like I've got my dad takes one. It's oh shoot, now I'm forgetting the name of it off the top of my head. But basically it's a rat poison. But it's
Oh, well,
also a blood thinner.
warfarin,
What is it you call it?
warfarin, Coumadin.
Coumadin. Coumadin?
It's it's
Yeah.
Coumadin, warfarin, Coumadin, same thing.
And he would
They
always
used to use
joke
it
about
rat
it. He says,
poison.
my doctor is giving me rat poison because
True,
he had blood clot problems. It just got into
right?
his legs, but they were really worried that, of course, with blood clots. And so he took this, he's still taking it to today. It's been like 20 years or something.
He's got to go to the doctor like twice a week to get his blood
Yeah,
tested
get his
to
blood
make sure
work.
his levels are okay.
Yeah.
There was a guy. Listen to this. This was a fascinating story for me. He was on warfarin, but he couldn't afford the doctor visits to draw blood to test to see if his levels were good. So what he used to do, so after a couple of years of not seeing a doctor, he goes in. He says your warfarin levels are perfect. So what are you doing? He says, well, I'm pricking my finger and watching the blood drip. If it's too fast, I used to buy the rat poison over the counter, right? If it's too fast, I cut down the warfarin or the rat poison. If it's too slow, I just add a little more. And he did this over like 3 times a week for 2 years. And he did as good a job as the doctors did.
Wow. That's funny.
saving probably thousands in blood tests and warfarin.
And he's just going to the hardware store and buying himself some rat poison.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, I mean, it's funny, but the true, do it yourself, the DIY.
I don't recommend doing that though, not in the least, but if, if you're ingenious like that and you know what you're doing,
If you know what you're
I
doing,
don't
but it
but
is.
so it's like sorry, necessity is the mother of invention. Go ahead.
That's it. But yeah, and it is, and you will get people that are smart enough to do it. But I imagine it's just like saying, like, you're in pain. Here's a bucket of poppies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like,
What do you want me to do with it? Yeah.
right?
I wouldn't know what to do with
You
it.
wouldn't know what to do, but to take rat poison from the shelf of the hardware store or wherever you get rat poison at. You know what I mean? Rather than going into the pharmacy, that. But it is possible. It is possible if you know your doses. If you get at a certain level, and then just play with it. Know how to cut it up or mix it up from the rat. Like that's what you're saying. He bought like literal rat poison
Little rat poison,
and dosed
yes.
himself with it. Yeah.
And warfarin, yeah, because warfarin was an accidental invention, and they saw how it kills rats very effectively. They didn't know that it was a clotting. Oh, it stopped clotting. Too much of it makes you bleed out.
Yeah.
So you have to. That's why the levels are so important because, like, if you take too much, you can bleed out without cutting yourself. Your blood will just soak through your veins and arteries, and you bleed out like that.
Yeah.
You have to bleed through your skin, your eyes, nose, and ears, mouth, no matter what, any orifice.
Anything.
You know?
You get a little bloody nose and it'll just drain for 2 days. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I see why, and I appreciate why he goes in for blood tests because it's like
Right? Yeah.
you want to keep that at the right level. Yeah.
Extremely important. It's not even like
Yeah.
it's not even like this is important to know. This is life and death sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the other side too, like if it's clotting too much, of course that's hyper dangerous too.
And you can get blood clots that travel to the lung and heart, and you can die instantly.
They're done. Like I think,
And that's called.
he's lucky. My dad, it was in his leg. I don't know if that's lucky,
Well,
but
it's
sure is better than
it's
heart.
worse in the leg. Well, no, actually, that's where they form. DVTs tend to form in the leg. They'll travel up the artery or the vein right to the heart, and then block an artery. Boom, you're gone. I mean, you don't even last a heartbeat sometimes. It's bad. Yeah, my mailman went for surgery, and you're especially what's the word?
Oh,
Uh,
prone? Like you're prone to a heart?
you're prone to blood clots after surgery because you tend to be laying down, you don't move, you don't get the blood flowing as well as you should. So he said he was walking down the stairs and he passed right out. Didn't know what the hell happened. He woke up about, I don't know, 20 minutes later to the paramedics recovering. Over him, Gino gave him to breathe. He said he took a blood clot, didn't know, just went down like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
Right to his heart. They said if he wasn't a mailman, doing all that walking, he would have been dead.
Because that broke it up. It was like it wasn't big enough or what, I don't know how it works. But yeah,
Well, his heart was strong enough to withstand the damage.
it was strong enough. Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, that's what that's one of my goals this year. I got to get out and move again. Holy shit.
Yeah, me too.
I have just not moved very much at all. And I can feel it. I can feel it building up. And went out, like I pulled my skates out, went over a skate. Oh, but I can feel it. Like I'm glad that he can't skate as fast anyways, but I was like, I'm taking a breather now. And also my feet. Oh, good God, it hurts so much. My one skate. Anyways, I'm just falling apart. I'm falling to pieces, but keep moving. I got to keep moving.
I'm not tolerating stairs too well. I live on the top floor of my apartment. I've showed you before. It's the only staircase I have, and if I have no reason to walk up and down the stairs, they don't. So my legs have gotten weak.
They hurt and
it hurts.
They
got weak. It takes me a while to get up the stairs. Down, no problem, but up. Plus, I had COVID. I know I had some lung damage.
Yeah.
So it's I'm a mess.
But then that's like you say, that's the only thing that we can control. Like a lot of the other things we can't control, but at least that, I don't know what I have to do. I kept telling myself I have to get up early in the morning, but that hasn't happened very often. Fucking hell. But like if I just gotta get outside. I just gotta do something, and
Well, now that I have bronchitis a little bit, I'm coughing. It's going up and down the stairs. Going up is much harder.
yeah, yeah.
You just end up coughing, breathing heavy, and it's
And already, yeah,
I
like
have
you said,
bronchitis all my life. It's pain
yeah.
in the chest.
But you go tomorrow. That's the thing too. I realized, and earlier when you texted me, I was like, "What do you mean 7 o'clock?" It's like, "All right, 7 o'clock on a Saturday," because usually you get up on
Yeah,
Sunday. That's it.
right.
I
I
didn't
go to my
realize.
aunt's house on Sunday,
Yeah, but
and
that's
my
where
brother told me.
every week. So every week you've got that as a ritual. Yeah.
So, are we talking about the Sixth Amendment today, or do you want to go right to Canada's Constitution?
Wait, the 6th? I thought we were on the 7th.
No, we didn't even do that yet.
Did we blow? We didn't do the 6th.
We broke we won the fifth last time.
Oh, because I looked up the 7th today. No,
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 we're
we
up
did
to
the
the
6th. That was the one about a trial. You can't. No, what?
Oh yeah, you're right. We did. You're right.
Okay, jeepers. I was like, I'm reading
Yeah,
it through again. I was like, wait, did we do this one? This one, because there was some
yes,
overlap with
sir,
the
we did.
5th. Like,
Yes, sir, we did. So I'm the idiot.
okay. You had me questioning myself there. I was like, wait a second. Because I
No,
remember
I do that to you.
the 5th,
I make it all the time. Don't worry.
it took us a long time to get to the 5th, like 2 years or
It
something. But
did.
after even,
It did. Well, my brother broke his leg. I was by myself. It was hard for me to do anything. Then when he came home, I was constantly busy with him, taking care
Mhm.
of his needs, my needs. So I had to take a break. I was going mentally. I was going insane.
It was too much. Yeah, no, I remember you saying that. It was just, it was, it was just another level. It's just not another thing, another stress that you wanted to
Yeah.
have. Yeah, no,
And
and that's it.
Friday, I'm sorry, Friday was the 3-year anniversary of his leg breaking.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And 3 years, wow. Okay. Oh yeah, 2018. That's true. That's when we were talking. It's like, wait, I remember that happening. I thought it was 2 years ago. Yeah, it's 3 years ago since we even started Frank and Fraser. Because I remember it coming up. So it was in
Seeking
January.
truth finding, seeking truth finding 2 years old.
2 years ignorant. Just good. Yeah, that's it. But okay, 3 years ago since your brother broke his leg. Holy cow!
Yeah. The day changed, both our lives changed because she got more disabled, and I had to take up the slack.
Hmm. So
Not
then
easy
you're
for
doing
me.
more of these stairs than I imagine at that point.
I'm sorry, saying.
You were doing more stairs then. You guys were at the same
Yeah,
place, or you were at the
yeah, we're all at the same
same
place. Yeah,
place? Yeah, yeah.
is that like when COVID hit and we were forced to stay home? All I was doing
Hmm.
was going up and down the stairs just to go out and buy food and stuff, and that's not enough. It's not enough exercise.
No, but COVID, like if we were going out, if I was at least going out, like before I had to drive to Ottawa once or twice a week. As soon as COVID hit, I never went back to Ottawa. It's a 2 hour drive, but then it's getting to the car, parking my car, walking to the place, walking,
Right. Right.
and
It's-
so there was walking in betweens. And I was really cheap in Ottawa. I would use 2 hour free parking. So I would like
Yeah.
park 2 hours, and then on my break I would walk to my car and move it, walk back. That was my break, was going out for a walk. 3 times a day. Well, 2 times really. The third time I could move it on to anyway, it doesn't matter. But I would go to at least 2 walks a day. No, because the third time, technically I had to move it to another 2 hour parking, but I knew as a policy that the parking attendants that were on site parking around our building, they stopped checking
Yeah.
after 1 p.m. So I could
Oh,
come
really?
on at 2 p.m. I could park illegally on the lot. They would never check it, right? Their
Okay.
shift is finished or whatever. So it was. I got to know this policy of the internal parking policy of the. So, anyways, but I had to walk twice a day at least, and it was a good 10-minute walk. And now I just never do that walk again. I have this
So
step
you
counter
did.
on my phone. My phone kind of counts how many steps I take. Some days
Right.
it's like 300. And it was just like me to the kitchen and me to the, that was all it is. 300 steps in a whole day is not a lot of steps.
And I think
Holy
you're
cow.
supposed to do something like 4,000 or 5,000.
I don't know if it was me that set the limit, but I never meet it. But it's 6,000, which is
That's
like
a lot of walking.
5 kilometers. I think it was the default setting because I never, yeah, 6,000. I did,
Miles.
I did
It's
3,000
about
today, but we went out skating. That was the thing that did it.
That's a little. Yeah, that's a bit. All right. So,
Seventh Amendment.
you
I pulled it
want to
up.
get into it?
There was a little video, a 4-minute video that taught me about it, but I took down a
Okay.
couple notes.
All right. So we'll go through your notes after I read it. Well, it
Yeah,
says it's revised in 1992. I'm not sure of the revision, but I'll read
the
it anyway.
the amendment was revised. Wait a second.
I'm sorry. What?
Did you say that the Seventh Amendment was revised? No.
Yeah, but it's revised 1992 on Google. Just go on Google and put Seventh Amendment in. It should come up.
Like you got one. It was just the basic sentence. It's just one sentence. This one.
It's very short.
Wait. Wait. That's huge. They can update amendments.
Well, maybe they updated the wording, but not the spirit of it. Susceptible. I was trying to get the word out. Susceptible.
Oh,
Susceptible to blood clots when you have an operation.
right. Susceptible to blood clots. That's true. What did I say?
I have no idea.
It was a smaller word.
Yeah, it was a small word. So anyway,
I was trying to get to this thing. I said, but okay, we can go through. Wow, it was like the old image of the. That doesn't really help me. I can't see it at all. Okay, I'm going to go back to the other one that I had it just printed out.
all right, I'm going to use my wording. I don't know if you have different wording.
Well, go ahead.
But
I'll see if it's the same. But go ahead. I got Cornell University
in,
here.
in suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. So this is about common law or not a civil trials.
Well, yeah.
We're not talking about a crime now. We're talking about a value of something, monetary value of something.
Well, what we have in Canada, and it's one of these weird things between. Oh, sacre. There's common law, and then there's, I think it's called civil law. But
Yeah,
civil lawsuits are different. But your common law, as I understand it, it's kind of like the British system of doing law. And then the civil law is more like the French system of doing law. Because in Quebec, we have the civil, and then the Canada, they have common law. And common law for me is a court system that's built on precedents. So if there was a judgment previously that said this kind of situation goes to the left and right. Common law is kind of malleable like that, whereas civil law, the French system, like the Quebec system, there are laws, and those are the laws, and they don't
right.
change. And if one judge judges a certain way, doesn't matter. The next judge after
Doesn't
that goes
matter.
back to the law, doesn't go back to the previous judge's position. That's kind of simple schmimple terms how I understand the difference between common law and civil law. But within common law, again, bad name as I think, is criminal and civil law. So it's not a civil law
Right.
system, but it's just monetary crimes kind of thing rather than
Like,
criminal crimes. You know what I mean? So
I just got your lawnmower. You want to take me to court for the I don't want to pay. You want to take me to court for the cost of the lawnmower. So that's what I think that's what this is pointing to.
But
Like you see like Judge Judy
yeah.
or things like that.
But that's the thing. That's what gets me about this. That's what I didn't. And I was trying to grab my mind around because I knew that the American system is kind of like the Canadian system, but not like the Quebec system. Because the Quebec system is like the France system, which is a different ball of wax. But in my mind, what this was saying was that any crime, and what I understand by the video guy, as he said it, any crime in the States over $20, you have the right to a jury.
Right.
And that's what's unique because in Canada, apparently a lot of our trials go without juries versus the States where here I think only criminal trials and not even all of those ones. But and certainly not civil cases apparently. We just don't do juries up here apparently, or not a lot. Whereas in the States, a lot of civil trials, like the lawnmower, will go to jury. But Judge Judy, no. Like maybe there's a choice there. You can choose to have a jury, or you can choose to have a Judge Judy. It was a confusing.
I think not all over it. I just found something that explains it a little more simple.
Okay.
The Seventh Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says that civil cases or lawsuits based on disagreements between people or businesses have a right to be decided by a jury in federal court. The amount of the lawsuit must be more than $20, and after a jury settles the case, they shouldn't go back to trial again.
Right. It's a federal thing, too. I remember they said it was one of those things that wasn't necessarily distributed to all states. It's federal again. It's like federal laws. What did we talk about federal before? No. Or no, go ahead.
Well, Ron Perlman? He sued O.J. Simpson for wrongful death in Nicole Brown Simpson.
After the criminal case. Yeah, I remember that.
After the criminal case.
He won the civil case.
Trial. That was a civil trial. And basically what during that trial is they determined Nicole Brown Simpson was worth X amount of dollars. So it sounds as bad as that, but that's basically what the lawsuit comes down to. It was in front of a jury, and in civil cases, you don't need a unanimous outcome. You just need a majority.
What does the Seventh say, though? No, what did you say? Huh? Didn't you just say something about the Seventh? No, what were you?
You say?
Had to be. Oh no. Okay. No, sorry. Because it must have been something else that someone said. It was like unanimously by jury. I thought thought maybe it said that. Sorry, I think it was someone else said that.
Okay. A criminal trial has to be unanimous outcome of the jury. On a civil trial, civil doesn't have to be unanimous. Civil just has to be a majority. Simple majority.
Interesting.
So the majority ruled against O.J. Simpson, and he was awarded the money for her wrongful death.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be found guilty in a criminal court to be guilty of a wrongful death. To me, that's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that another time, I guess.
But one of the things that the other guy said, maybe I'll show you. Oh, I don't know if I could share the video with you, though. But the second part of it shall be otherwise re-examined by any court in the United States according to the rules of common law. So, federal trial. The right of the trial by jury shall be preserved and cannot be otherwise examined by any court in the United States. What the guy was saying that meant was that basically the facts that were interpreted by the jury cannot be reinterpreted by another body of the government.
So you have no appeals. Once you get your judgment, you have no appeals.
Not that there's no appeals, but even, what was the example he gave? Can't remember the example he gave, but it was something like if there was a trial in a criminal court for, I don't know. I know it wasn't that example, but there's an example that's coming up in my mind. I was trying to think of the example he gave, but the example I was coming up in my mind was like the Roe v. Wade. And that wasn't exactly a trial by jury, but just that there was something decided in a court, and the politicians can't just overturn that because they don't like the facts of the case. The one that he gave was something else. It was, I don't remember what it was, but it was like if a court, certainly a jury, decided something, the politicians can't just decide a different thing because the jury had decided that case,
Right.
and politicians can't overturn that. It was,
Right, politicians
and it
can't-
was
right,
like
politicians
set
can't-
in stone, right? You know what I mean?
They have to go to. In order for a politician to try to turn anything over, they have to bring up a court case and bring it to court again.
Yeah.
And that's
it.
maybe the Supreme Court or something. But the Supreme Court doesn't have the right to interpret law, only to enforce what's already law. So
Okay.
again, we go to the Seventh Amendment. If it's a civil case, it's out of the Supreme Court's jurisdiction.
No,
it was in the local court.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, it was a bad example. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Supreme Court is a different court. You're right. Oof. I'm going to get there eventually by the time we get to that.
As far as the Supreme Court is concerned, like the federal Supreme Court, the one that Thurgood Marshall was on, that the big one, that has a lot to do with reinterpreting law or someone's civil rights were violated and they're coming to a lawsuit with that, or like abortion, like you said, Roe v. Wade, that was determined in the federal court, the Supreme Court. It's a lot of lower court decisions, basically, that were appealed, right? Lawsuits that can be appealed, not civil law, or civil cases. These are criminal cases, but is Roe v. Wade a criminal case? I don't know. I don't know what it's based on. Could it be based on illegal abortion? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. Because the things that come up, well, I don't know much about the thing, but just how recently, like with the election results, for instance, it would kind of,
Right.
It has to walk up certain steps through the court system, as I understood it. You have to start at a lower level. But some of the ones that I saw, well, not saw, but maybe I heard a little bit. Maybe I saw them. I don't know. The other thing was weird about like how cameras aren't really allowed in all the courts. Which
Well,
that's all.
Cameras aren't allowed in the whole courts. Have you ever seen the movie, The People versus Larry Flint?
Yeah.
Uh,
With Woody Harrelson,
He took his case all the way up to the Supreme Court. Real life. This is actual real life court case that went all the way to the Supreme Court for freedom of speech.
For freedom of speech. I remember he was like a huge freedom of speech hero. Hustler magazine. It was like, whew. Okay, but that was a freedom of speech thing that really showed what that meant in the United States, the freedom of speech.
But that stemmed from an illegal arrest violating his civil rights.
So, okay. But again, we're trying to understand if... Okay, but would he have gone through... So he got arrested?
He got arrested for violating... He got arrested for basically producing smut. Some people didn't like what he had to do.
But then he sued for wrongful arrest.
Right.
So there was one initial court case. He got arrested. He was charged or whatever. I don't care. But then what started the Supreme Court thing was he re-sued the police department or something like that.
Jimmy Falwell.
Jimmy Falwell, he did the same thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Actually, Jimmy Falwell, in the movie, don't know how true it is, but in the movie, Jimmy Falwell reproduced one of the articles that he was that was in Hustler magazine. The Campari the Campari liquor ad without Hustler's permission, and that fell under copyright infringement.
See, I don't remember. Like, it's really stretching my memory now. It was like, I remember it was Larry Flint. I remember it was Hustler. I remember it was like a free speech thing. But, okay, Jerry Falwell was a character in that too, eh?
Yeah.
And he got sued for just the ad. Like, the whole rest of the message that he said. But you were... Those are the, like, little kind of... Not loopholes, but little tidbits that... Like the Tiger King. The thing that cost him the most... was copying his neighbor's logo. He would have got away with a whole lot more shit if he wouldn't have copied his neighbor's freaking logo to make fun of her. Anyways, but it
I didn't
was
see Tiger. I'll take your word for it.
but you know the kind of the fad that I was talking about.
Yeah, right.
It was a guy, and he was.
It's all happened to be copyright infringement.
He ended up trying to murder her too, but that was, but
Well,
the reason why he wanted to murder her is because she sued him for millions of dollars. She sued him for millions of dollars because he used a logo that looked very much like hers. He was trying to do kind of a mocking TV show, like mocking her. She had also a wildlife rescue place. He had a wildlife rescue place or whatever. He was trying to mock her, but he did a copyright infringement. She sued him for millions of dollars. Basically, he couldn't do anything anymore, so he tried to devise a plan to kill her, and he ended up in jail. It was this wacky story, and there's always tigers around too. It's like this weird. I have to admit, I watched the thing as well. It was like at the beginning of COVID. You know what I mean? Everyone. Yeah. It was just not everyone, but it was a viral sensation. It was weird viral sensation where I learned that the majority of the tiger population of the world is in captivity in the United States.
That's right.
The majority of the population of tigers live in the United States.
And 4 out of 7 tiger species are extinct.
Oh, yeah? They probably said that. I don't remember that, too. That was...
anyhow.
But yeah, sorry, getting off track.
That you're talking about now is all criminal or based on violation of civil rights, not monetary civil case. This is... And I guess when they came up with monetary value of $20, that was a lot of money back then. Like 1760, whatever was written, 1780. $20 is a lot of money.
And it was very specific. It was like they had a lot of guys suing for $19 and demanding a jury trial. It was like, no, guys, $19, come on. $19 is a lot of money. That's like, I don't know, $10,000 now. I don't know what it would be. But back
I'm going to find out now.
Yeah.
So keep talking.
No, but I'm remembering, did you ever watch the movie A Million Ways to Die in the West?
No.
A ridiculous comedy where they just mock everything and it's overly graphic too. It's weird. But there was one point where 2 guys bet $1 on something. And they say, the one guy says, like, can you prove it? Can you up the ante, as it were? Or can you show the ante? And he pulls out $1 bill and everyone takes off their hats. And then the father is like slaps his kid. He's like, show some respect. That's $1 bill, son. Like no one ever saw $1 bill before. It was like the time of the Wild West, as it were. But like what $1 is worth, what $20 is now. Did you find that? Yeah.
Yes, in 1770. I just want to go through a round figure. Around year 1770, $20 was worth $635.30.
That's it. Oh, I was expecting more. Somehow I was expecting a lot more. Why was I expecting so much?
That's an inflation increase of 3,076%.
It's a lot, but it says that if we, and maybe they kept the literal dollars till today, but if we adjust it for inflation, you can demand a jury trial for something that's worth
$635, I guess. Yeah.
That's quite low, isn't it? Don't you think? Like, I have in a federal, like, if you would ever be charged for something federally for $640, but you could demand a jury trial. I think you can opt out, though. I know in Canada you definitely can. You can say, I want a jury or I don't want a jury. And oftentimes the lawyers, they know which one is best for you. So they'll play one side or the other. I've never been called for jury duty. Did you ever get called for jury duty?
No. Yes.
You did?
Okay. Quiet.
They sent it to your wrong address, of course?
Right. Wrong bean. Anyway.
I was out of town.
I've seen a lot of people sue on TV for what they call small claims court. Now they deal with small claims in America. They deem $2,000. So anything $2,000 and under is small claims. 2001 and over would be, I guess, a different. I guess that would pertain to the Seventh Amendment. I don't know where they get this arbitrary number from, but
But
it is
yeah,
what it is.
it's true. But it's a very specific arbitrary number. That's what I found a little bit weird. But I guess they sort of set a minimum. Like it's got to be a minimum of $1. Maybe if they would have just said $1 or 1 penny. I don't know. Just to set something that says like anything over this. If it's a federal crime, you have a right to a jury of your peers. They don't really define what a jury is. Maybe that's somewhere later.
Oh, there might be a little on.
Is a definition for jury? There probably is.
Are be peers? Well, my my peers are all fantastic on disability.
They're all which now?
What?
Your peers. I didn't hear what you said though. Your peers.
Oh, fat bastards on disability.
Fat bastard. Not fat bastards. Terrible.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine if that's what it was though. Like you had to. It would be the ultimate of what's it called? That thing that Sean hates so much. Identity politics. Identity politics. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like you have to identify yourself down to, the month that you were born. People that are 47 years, I don't know, I'm just making up an age, but it's something like 47 years and 1 month old and, living in this district of New York and having this, you're this height, you're this, living on this floor. But people that don't live on the third floor don't understand what I have to live through. Like, what are your peers? You know what I mean? I don't know if you're on the third floor even. I'm just making everything up. But you know what I mean? Like, what are your jury of your peers? Interesting.
Well, your peers. I guess we'll get to that some other time. Right to a trial. I guess it's got to be coming up.
Well, a right to you were saying last time about how our Constitution was really long and so wordy, and you guys they fit this whole amendment into one sentence, and yet for me, there's a lot of extra questions that I have to ask for that. What do you mean? What is a jury? I mean, no facts shall otherwise be re-examined by any court of the United States. Somehow they interpreted that to mean the federal government, the president, any other branch.
Well, when I say any court, it means any court. Some of the wording back then doesn't. The definitions don't apply today. Like, I'm going to go back to the Second Amendment. The militia was any able-bodied man between the ages of 16 and 40 able to work a gun. That was the militia.
But it sounds like a group of guys together. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like it sounds like a mini army. It doesn't sound like one guy in a cabin out in the backwoods.
No, it's just a guy, any man able to operate a gun. That's a militia. That was the meaning back then, not today. They mistake militia for military, so they think that arms are for military. It's a whole different thing. And I'm not getting into the Second Amendment. I'm just saying that some of the words they use, the meanings have changed over 200 years.
It's true. We agreed to get to the end before we went back to the beginning because we almost slipped back into the first and the second. We sometimes do a little bit, but we keep going. Because I have a whole lot to say about the Second Amendment now. It's like, wait, what do you mean? No, but it's true. No, but it's that everything can be. But that interpretation leads to, like, again, we're talking about the seventh now. Again, once they decided, I suppose they decided that any court meant any of the other branches of government, basically.
Any court, yeah.
And double jeopardy kind of states that you can't be tried again in another court anyways. Like in another literal...
It says specifically, once you come to a conclusion that in that particular civil trial, that's it. No other court can say anything else.
Yeah, no other judicial court can. And now this one they say, again, if something's decided, a law is, or if again, 12 people, a jury of your peers has decided something. Well, not, wait, whoa. Except for, no, I said the executive, but now we talk about presidential pardons.
What about him?
Well, that overrides this one then. Okay, so, no, sorry, maybe I misunderstood what it said
Ah,
earlier. Because maybe this, what is
presidential
it?
pardon only occurs when someone has been convicted of a crime and the president wants to just, or basically just pardon them completely.
That's
Like
it.
the
But what I'm
next,
saying is that's, okay, no, but I mistakenly said earlier that no other court, that means legislative or executive, but that's not true. The executive does have the power to overrule a jury decision. That's all I'm saying here,
only it, no,
right? Which is fine.
not.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I misspoke earlier. So.
I don't think that's the case at all. I think that
Mhm.
see the president has the American president can't overrule a jury's decision. They can only pardon a jury. They can only pardon someone who's been convicted of a crime. I'm going to take a guy. I don't know if you know who he is. His name is Dinesh D'Souza. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, but what's the difference between a pardon and a commute? You know what? They
Um,
commuted a
a
sentence or they
pardon.
pardoned a sentence. I thought
A
pardon means
pardon
that you
means
wiped it
that
off the slate.
wait. A pardon means that the president is found guilty. The president
Okay.
acknowledges that he's found guilty, and the president is
Okay.
pardoning that conviction, giving him back all his constitutional rights. A commute means that I'm doing, let's say I'm doing 100 years in prison for something stupid. The president sees I'm in jail for 20 years already. Okay, let's commute his sentence. He did 20 years, pardon the other 80, let him out of jail, but he still doesn't have his constitutional rights back. Now, the constitutional rights I'm talking about is the right to vote and the right to own a firearm. Those are the
Okay.
two that are most affected of a felon in the United States. Once you're
Okay.
convicted of a felony, you can't vote, can't own a gun. So Dinesh D'Souza was convicted of a federal crime. He went to prison, got out of prison, and Trump pardoned him of his crime. So now he can vote, he can own a gun. And some people he commuted sentences,
Mhm.
they got out of jail. They're still guilty of the crime. That felony is still on their record, but they can't vote, they can't own a gun. So that's the difference. You okay?
No, and it makes sense. I'm trying to think because again, I don't know if you watched these things in the last week, but different from my, I feel like a nice perspective where I could look at it from kind of a distance, a certain distance from up here in the cold
Right.
north, just seeing the different reactions to the pardons this time. Because I know pardons are a thing of the past and or a thing of that have passed that every president does, and how the pardons this time that and they all do it apparently on their last day of
Yeah.
office. They pardon a bunch of people. I guess, and again, every president does it knowing that it's not super popular to pardon criminals. So you do it on your last day where you can't, whatever, you do whatever you want on the last day kind of thing. Um,
Like a big F you to the world, right?
a little bit of an fu, but just who you pardon and who Trump decided to pardon compared to who others decided to pardon. It seemed like he was helping out his friends. I guess is what I'm saying.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean?
Yeah.
Like it was really
Yeah.
like it wasn't. And again, how the analysis went, as I saw it, was that there's this apparently a pardons office legal counsel or something of the president, and normally they pass cases through that to see is it what do you say is it kosher that we can pardon this person, and pass through this legal office, and then the president will go ahead with it or not. And Trump just says, I don't care. And there are certain
Oh,
cases that seem to be maybe more,
controversial.
not controversial, but more nepotism. Like it just really kind of smelt like that, Like it was sort of like, oh gosh, Sir Clinton, he pardoned his brother for a cocaine conviction. Like that smells a lot like nepotism to me. You know what
Of
I mean?
course it is. It's
Right.
outright nepotism. But not only did the Trump free his friends, he freed a lot of black people who were convicted of low-level drug offenses that weren't violent.
Mm-hmm.
He freed a lot of people like that. So he did a lot of good with his partying abilities. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fine. That's either yeah, no, that's fine, and that's like again, that's his power to do that, and it seems to be an absolute power that, and again, for the better and the worst, I can see if there was like a really bad leader in power, he could abuse that. It's like to allow that to happen, and I know that you thought, or maybe you said, or someone else said that like, not Obama with the Biden is like a fascist. He wants to take over and do a lot of really nasty things.
hmm
Under the Constitution, he can do anything. He can pardon all the communists that are in prison or something like this. You know what I mean? Like he has
could
that
yeah.
power now to do that. And if I'm going to accept Bill Clinton and Donald Trump's rights to do those kind of things, under the Constitution, I've got to accept and swallow Joe Biden's right to pardon all the communists or something.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's tough to swallow, but it's part of the game, as it
It's
were.
part of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
But
But there's nothing in the pardon that if you reoffend, you go back. You don't go back to jail. Obviously, if you do it again, you go back to jail.
Trump looks like he's kind of in trouble on some of these state trials, as it were. Like this is
I
federal
would,
stuff. This is only federal stuff that the pardons cover, like you said. But on some
the next.
state stuff,
Oh, they're what they do. They're trying to get him on incitement to violence. During on his tweets.
no, that
There
was
was
the
nothing.
impeachment thing. I was talking about like state
Yeah.
trials, like in New York, where he's being sued for different things, or on like on the tax things. That came out, like how he was kind of playing around with the taxes.
He
Maybe
did everything
maybe
legal.
legally, maybe not, but certainly kind of in a. Anyways, if
Do
it's
you
within
think a
inside the
guy?
law.
Let me ask you something. You
Mhm.
got billions of dollars on the line. Do you think for 1 second you screw around with the law and jeopardize it? I mean, he could face billions of dollars in fines.
Oh no, and
What is
certainly,
millions?
but there's like ways, and even up here, we know of ways of kind of fudging the numbers,
Everybody
especially when
does.
there was like, there was some tax law in the states that changed after the economic crash, that said if as a an owner of something, you can then claim the depreciation of your
You're right.
enterprise as a tax credit. And so this is the one that's coming out, it seems like, for Donald Trump. And again, it's something that seems to be coming down the line. Whether it's legitimate, whether it's legal or not, that's like to be seen. But where he just happened to depreciate the value of his assets to get $70 million back in taxes, which
That's
is
ridiculous.
so he got the $70 million back. So the government gave him $70 million just during the recession. And he's like, is that legitimate or not? And maybe it's legitimate, but it was still clawing back $70 million from the government during a recession, which I don't know. I think that's why he didn't want to release his tax releases, because that just doesn't, it might be legal, but the optics are bad. You got to admit the optics of
Yeah.
that
Oh
are
yeah. Yeah.
bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whether it's legal or
But
not, and it could be legal. All the rich people know how to play the freaking game, to just maximize the tax laws. People like me that don't hire an accountant oftentimes. I don't, I can't afford that kind of tax break. But I'm just saying the optics are not good. That's, I guess, my point of the thing is. But
he didn't release his tax reforms because he wanted to annoy the left. He just kept asking for them.
no, I think there's more to it than that. But like I think there was just something that the optics were bad. I think if you want to impress your own people and say, look, I'm worth $600 billion, you go ahead and release that thing, and that pisses the left off even more. If there's something that optically is not look good, and a lot of these taxings again, and he said it himself. He's like, I'm smart. I'm smart with my money. I'm not going to be a dummy and just hand over money to the federal government. That's fine. But I'm just saying, like, the optics of that on paper don't look good. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that he's a criminal on that account. He's got some things to face up to. And again, when you're depreciating your own assets, you get to say, my car is worth half of what it was last year. So give me half the value of the car. The optics of that are bad, whether or not it's legal. Who values the car? It's like, I get to decide what the value of my car is. I decide this year that it's half of what it was last year. And by the law, that says that you give me half the value of the car. That's, like, again, that's what it looks like. Perfectly within the law, but just with bad optics.
I don't know what to say to that. Yeah, well, if everything was legal, then,
And that's what it is. He's a smart businessman. That's fine. But it just looks bad on paper. And whether he'll have to go and then finally people would see his tax forms. That seems to be what the risk is right now, is that he would go to court. Okay, he did stuff within the law, but now it's in public court, so everyone gets to see what happened. It's like, oh, guy, come on. But it was within the law, so he got off. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. But he'll have to actually show his tax forms. At this point, why not show them then? If it was just to piss off the left, now he's free of that kind of cage.
Yeah. Well, the one thing they were complaining about was that he was paying zero in federal taxes. And the reason why is one of his casinos lost nearly, I don't know, it was $100 million or something like $90 million. That's a tax write-off.
Mm-hmm.
He can legally write that off for the rest of his life. He never have to pay a dime in federal taxes, personal federal taxes. This is a personal laws, not even a business laws.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're complaining about, that he's not paying any federal taxes. But as far as state and city taxes are concerned, he's paying millions. He is paying a lot of money. But he lost money being president of the United States. He lost $2 billion in worth.
Yeah, no, and it'll come out like you say. It'll just there'll be different things. There'll be this Senate trial. He'll probably get convicted of that impeachment because they'll wait until they have a majority and they'll pass that through. All it means it just means that he can't run for president again. I think, right?
Depends on severity, but they need a simple majority in order to convict them of this impeachment. But they don't have the simple majority. They're 50-50 in the Senate now. So they might not get the conviction they need.
But as I understood it, as soon as Kamala Harris's replacement is sworn in, then it's 50-50, plus the vice president is the tiebreaker.
Kamala Harris is the vice president.
So, yeah, exactly. But she was a senator, so they have to replace her now.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
So apparently that'll take a little bit of time. I don't know. I didn't understand exactly the process, but she'll have to be replaced before it's actually 50-50 in the Senate, plus the vice president, which is 51-50 basically.
Well, she's taking on both roles right now. She's senator and vice president. She's got to do both until her seat is filled in the Senate.
No, but you understand what I mean. Like, because the Senate will be 50-50, she actually has to be present for every vote. Yeah. She can't just go on vacation. She can't be going on other things. She has to be present to make sure that it's 51-50. And that's the extra role. But you're right. She was a senator. But then when she suddenly became vice president, now there's one extra seat, which she won before. They'll fill it with a Democrat, of course. But it had some processing time. And now it's 51-50 as long as she's sitting on the Senate floor. If she's absent, she doesn't get to vote. Sorry?
51-49.
No, 51-50.
What are you talking about, 51? 51-49 is the majority.
No,
you have 100 senators.
There's technically.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I see. Oh, I see what you're talking about. I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
I got you. Okay. Never mind. Yeah. I got confused.
Yeah. Because there's this. But as long as, like you say, that simple majority, but because it's deadlocked between Republicans and Democrats right now, everyone's got to toe the party line, which already is a very problematic in my position.
There were eight Republicans who are for impeachment. So you never know what's going to happen right now.
I'm talking about Senate. Oh, you're talking about senators? Oh, maybe.
I
Or
think so.
representatives.
I
I don't
don't
know.
know that. Maybe it was the House.
Because 8 is a
I
lot
think
in
it
the
was the
Senate.
House.
8
Because
is a
the
lot.
seven Republicans in the House isn't a lot. 7 Republicans in the Senate is a lot.
That's it. That's what I remember too. But yeah, no, we'll see how that plays out. But I have a feeling that because the Democrats have a simple majority, Trump will get impeached. I mean, fine, whatever.
Be
He's
impeached.
not really going to run in 2024. He'll be older than Biden by that time. You think he'll run
I think
again?
he will.
Really?
I think he will.
Wow.
Maybe his son will too. I don't even know.
Maybe. Like, he's young enough. But I mean, Trump at 78, 79, 78?
Biden's 70. But Trump is sharp. Biden is senile.
Oh, whether he makes it through a session or not, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, when you run at that age, that's the kind of accusations you get, is the senility. And so if he runs at that age, it's anyways, maybe it's perfect politician age. I don't know. It seems old. It seemed old to me for Biden. I'm totally in agreement with you there for sure.
I want to see how old Reagan was when he became president. Okay.
Not even
So he
close. He was in
wasn't.
the 60s,
He'd
right?
be younger than Reagan. Reagan was 69.
The first time or the second time?
The first one, yeah, the first time. The first time he was voted, he was 69. Obviously, he was 74 or 73 the second time. So I got to see who our oldest president was now.
Oh, it's totally Biden, right? Well, maybe it's Trump. No, Trump at the end. No, yeah, okay, no. It'll be
I wonder if
Reagan.
this is some deliberation.
It'll be Reagan at the end. He was 77 by the end. That's what that means.
The youngest was Kennedy, 43. The oldest
It's
was
Biden
Biden.
now. Biden at 78.
Yeah, at
Because
78. Yeah.
the numbers you gave me earlier, Reagan wouldn't been. He would have been 77 in 1987 or 88 when he retired,
Right.
and then Biden was 78 the moment he was inaugurated. So he became suddenly the oldest. Before that, the oldest was Reagan. I
Wow,
suppose.
far exceeding Reagan.
Pardon?
Far exceeding Reagan by 4 years. 5 years.
No, 1 year. I mean
Reagan
Reagan
was-
at the very end of his presidency.
No, I'm talking about when they were in the first day.
Well, the first date,
when he-
yeah. The first date for sure, 100%. But how old
Yeah,
was Reagan when
that's it.
he finished?
77.
That's it. That's what I was talking about. So the oldest president current in like Reagan, Biden could die tomorrow. He will be the oldest president to have ever served.
Right.
But if Biden hadn't been elected and Trump had been elected, Reagan would have been the oldest president
Right.
to have served. That was my point. But yeah, Biden becomes the oldest already. Yeah, for sure.
Then Trump would have retired at 78 had he been president. That would have made him the oldest at the day of retirement.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And Biden's got him ways to go there. That's not, there's people that would say that. It's like, you want Biden to be assassinated. No, I'm just talking about, wait, I'm going to talk about age expectancy. I'm just going to pull it up on Canada. Oh, no, I wanted Canada versus the States. Because I think that, even Canada, 82 years in Canada. Okay, well, Canadian female, it's 84 years.
Okay.
Female, and that's a female born today, so it's not perfect statistics, but is 81 years. Male infants is 80 years in Canada. That's the life expectancy of a man born today, a male child born today. 76 years in the U.S. So again, a male child born today. We're not talking about Biden versus Trump. But basically, if you were a man today who's named Biden, you could expect to live 2 years longer than the current president, Biden. Again, not a threat to his life. I'm just talking about statistics here.
Of course.
But he seems healthy-ish. He's got a huge medical team behind him now. I'm sure he'll make it.
I'm sure I'll be fine. At least physically. Mentally, you can't tell. You can't know.
We can never know.
So, since William Henry Harrison was the oldest when he was sworn into office,
Who was that?
when he died in office,
Who is it? Sorry.
William Henry Harrison.
And he was how old was he?
Okay, he was born. Let's see. When the hell was he born? Son of a.
Son of a what? A farmer or something?
Son of a. Yeah, right. 1773. He died 1841. That's not that old. 1841. Shit.
No.
1841. Minus, what did I say?
It's like he's 68 years old or something. No?
1773. Just want to make sure. Okay, dumbass. 18. I can't even do this right. 1841 minus 68. Yeah, that's not right. I don't think that's right.
But just he was the one that died. He died 31 days into his term.
Yes.
Of pneumonia, or typhoid, pneumonia, and paratyphoid fever. Wow. I don't know. This is what Wikipedia tells me. I don't. Those could be totally fake.
That's what I was looking at. I just wanted to see how old he was.
It sparked a constitutional crisis. So this would have been one of those things where they would.
This was before the 24th Amendment.
Which is how to replace a president?
Right.
Really interesting. There was one, who was talking about it? It was like the first 10 amendments were kind of a special set of amendments.
I said that.
Oh, okay.
Didn't I say that?
You probably said that. I don't know. I heard it somewhere. Your voice is one of the voices I hear over camera. I don't understand. So you could be, but yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, the first.
I have a very annoying voice, very high pitched. And if I say something stupid, I stick in your head.
It sticks right in my head right away. Yeah, that's it.
I hate my voice.
That means it's meaningful, though. My voice is like boring. Some people say my dad's voice is very deep. Somehow over the phone, over old landline phones, it didn't pick up those low sounds quite as well, like the technology of passing voiceover. So it would be really, and I had a hard time hearing him over the phone. He was like, "What's that, Dad?" Speak up a little bit.
The deepest voice I've ever heard was actually James Earl Jones as Darth Vader.
Oh,
he is actually he's lower than that.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't know if he's lower than that, but he definitely had a certain tenor, or I don't know what the name is for it, but that didn't pick up well on the phone, as it were.
Actually, there's another YouTuber named Markiplier, the lowest voice I ever heard.
I've definitely heard different voices, and there's on the extremes. Now, yeah, no, he's no James Earl Jones, I don't think, my dad, but and he also spoke quietly. Like he was just a soft-spoken person, but
can't say that about me.
like he's like he's almost 8 feet tall, but you just
yeah.
He doesn't use his presence for I don't know. But anyways, whatever it is. But yeah.
My father's actually 6'2".
6'2". Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a certain presence, like I say, when someone walks into the room. There's just people turn their heads a little bit. It's just a natural. Maybe it's like one of those evolutionary instinct things. It's like, oh, someone big is here.
Yeah.
What does he have to say? Just make sure I'm on his team. I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they did statistics on politicians, and like the average president is like 6'2" or something like that. Like if you look at
Something
all
like that.
they're all
Oh,
freaking tall people, all of them.
yeah.
And
Donald Trump's 6'3".
he's 6'3", right? And he doesn't
Yeah.
look like a tall president. He's like an average president. You know what I mean?
He's got small hands though.
Does he really? Because this was the whole
Yeah.
thing at the start. It was like, really? I don't know. Maybe it's everything's anyway. But I wonder. I should look at. I heard that it was a statistical thing, but I've never actually looked up that study. How tall each president was.
Oh, come on. Let's see. You know what? I gotta find out. Wait, I'm gonna look at shortest president. James Madison, 5'4".
That's like one of the first presidents, though, right? Maybe that was tall for his time.
Whoa. Abraham Lincoln was 6'4".
Who was that?
Abraham Lincoln was
Lincoln.
6'4".
And he put on that big ass hat.
Right? So here we go. The first is 27 presidents under 6 feet tall.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was wrong about my thing then.
So that's about half, right? We're up to 46 now. So, round about half are under 6 feet.
Wow. Okay. He was the tallest. 6'4" is the tall. I'm taller than the tallest president. Barely, but still.
Thomas Jefferson. I didn't think Thomas Jefferson was this tall. 6'2.5".
And George Washington too. Wow.
Right?
I've just never pictured him that tall.
Bill
Bill
was
Clinton
6'2".
even. Is Bill Clinton that tall?
Right.
Holy crap.
Oh, Kennedy was 6'1", didn't know.
John Kennedy. I thought he was a shorty.
No.
Holy cow.
Now going back now to the William Howard Taft, 5'11.5". Herbert Hoover, 5'11.5". Not quite 6 feet. The first, George W., the father, George, the son, 5'11.5". So he's almost 6 feet tall. Biden is 5'11.5".
No, George H.W. is up at 6'2".
You're right.
His son is shorter. I always thought his son. Oh, wow. I have like a. They must put their cameras at funny angles.
So Madison's 5'4". Yeah, Madison's 5'4". Harrison and Van Buren 5'6". McKinley and Adams 5'7". John Quincy Adams 5'7.5". And he gets up in that.
John Adams. Anyways, at least he.
Well, before
Wait,
TV,
John Adams and John Quincy Adams? Those are
father
two
and
different
son.
Oh, father and son? Really? Which was the one that made the beer?
No, relationship to the beer, no.
Neither of them? No.
Neither of them.
Oh, I want to look at this one. Graphs of winner's height versus loser's height.
There are, before there were TVs,
I don't see.
they would say a lot of these presidents who were president before wouldn't be president today or back then because some people vote based on appearance. Now, Kennedy took a big advantage of that when he ran against Nixon, putting on makeup, doing his hair, eyebrow, stuff like that, making himself look good. Where Nixon had like a 5 o'clock shadow, no makeup, nothing, and he made him look tired. So people voted for Kennedy over Nixon just because of looks.
Because of looks. I heard that about the kind of the first televised thing. I don't know where I heard it. Yeah, I've heard a similar thing. That's why Kennedy beat over Nixon. Because of that, just presenting himself at the camera. Not the ideas, not the words. Well, maybe, I don't know. But just that the presentation played a huge role. And it was the first time. And after that, candidates really paid attention to that thing until present day.
Plus 30,000 dead people in New Hampshire voted for Kennedy, cinching his win. And this is undisputed news.
Oh, I don't know. This is back in
Oh, I know.
Kennedy versus today? No, Kennedy and
No,
Nixon.
but Kennedy ran against Nixon. The
So
first
that's
time
why
Nixon ran.
there was like the Federal Electoral Commission said that this was the most secure election ever. I mean, they've tightened things up since that day, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe not. Maybe it's not the case. I just thought they were doing their job. But, okay.
Well, Kennedy also put his brother as the attorney, kind of the position, the highest attorney. So there's a lot of nepotism there too.
Oh, no, whenever I see the nepotism. But don't you feel a little bit that when Jared Kushner took on so many roles? Like, I don't know. When I looked at that, maybe you're in agreement with me that Jared Kushner, maybe he shouldn't have taken on so much power in the federal government. As the
No,
son-in-law, right? Or
yeah,
Trump's sons, or like his family, or he was good friends and stuff. I just thought
there is nepotism
there's
everywhere.
nepotism
You-
everywhere. Okay, so we're in agreement that it's not a good thing. Like it's not.
It's not a great thing, but I can't totally disagree with it. I mean, everybody takes care of their family one way or another,
So was it
especially with
bad for
attorneys.
Kennedy to do it then, or was that a good thing?
Uh, Kennedy was the last of the classic liberals, uh, not like the communists we have today. I think that he did an okay job,
But
but
not even just. I'm just talking about
again,
the nepotism side of things. Like when is it okay?
sorry,
That's what I'm wondering.
if you want to put a family member in a certain position, but I would say they would need to have the qualifications. Like for district attorney, make sure they're an attorney. You know, if you're gonna have them as a lawyer, make sure they pass the bar. They have to have the qualifications.
Okay. Yeah. No. I think. Yeah. And after that, like when your friends are, I don't know. Is maybe like again. I don't see it as. I don't know. Like when you can see obvious positions being given to people that have donated highly to your campaign, or that have just, it's just making thanks to a friend that's done something before. But this is a high level position, like you say, Kennedy with his brother. This deserves for the country. If you're doing what's best for the country, you should hire the best person for that job, not your brother. You know what I mean? And the same thing with the son in law. It's like, apparently, Jared Kushner got like 6 different dossiers. Used to be 6 different people that took over those things. And now it's one guy, and it just happens to be the son in law of the president. I mean, again, I'm talking about Kennedy like I'm talking about Trump, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, man.
It just
I understand.
feels dirty. Not that one's better than the other or worse than the other. They're both, well, one might be better or worse than the other, but in both cases, they're both in the negative column for me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think nepotism is not a good thing. I think any side, just thinking about it, because there could be a lot of corruption there,
That's
and
it. And you can be happy
uh,
for it when it's your own side, like getting on different members of the team that'll support the thing. But just remembering that when the other side comes in, they're allowed to do the same thing, right? Like that's the danger of it. Is like develop, and someone else said that develop a system whereas you don't know if you're the winner or the loser. How do we develop a governmental system? And I think that's when we're talking about the Constitution. That's what
something
they were trying to
equitable.
do. They were going to say, let's set out
Yeah,
a system, whether for what I believe or not, whether I'm the winner or the loser, I'll be okay
it's
with this
equitable
system.
sides.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and I understand. I was thinking about that again and again. I was like, that's true. It's a good way of setting up a system. I don't know who I will be in the game, but I want to develop a game whereas I will play it and I will feel it's fair whether I'm on left or the right, or whether I'm playing for red or blue, whether I'm playing for, you know what I mean? Whatever this, I will
Absolutely.
develop a game whereas I feel it's fair, blind of who I will be in the game. And maybe that's what the Constitution is. Like, again, there's certain things I'm like, I don't
That's
like
exactly
that.
what
But maybe
I'm
that's because, I'm coming in with a bias. Of course, I'm coming in with a bias. But I mean, you know what I mean?
Mostly
Anyways,
the Constitution is rules for our government so they don't violate our rights.
yeah.
Uh, I don't
We're,
know about rules in the government. So I do know that everybody plays a small part. They
but
can't exceed a
yeah.
certain part,
But even the
but
thing
they
that you just said, I think that's so golden because that's the ultimate part of it. Like, whichever American you are, you develop a system so that every American, whatever American you are, you will be happy with your lot in life. So these were people that were developing a system. They were the elite. They were the oligarchy of the time. But to give the rights of the individual, as you say, that's them saying that
yeah.
whatever lot I'm given in life in the United States, I will take it under this constitution. If you
You got to
developed a
remember,
different thing like royalty, of course, I mean, fucking, I want to be born a king, but would you
of
want to be
course,
born a peasant? But in the United States, where you prioritize individual rights, as you're saying, I mean, that's the ultimate test of this game theory. You know what I mean?
hmm
No, so what you said
um,
was really is really pertinent, I think.
well, you got to remember too when the founding fathers came here, they weren't Americans; they were British citizens. They
Mm-hmm.
founded the country of America, the first 13 colonies. So when they developed the Constitution, they were doing the exact opposite of British rule. Freedom of speech, British rule said you couldn't say anything against the king. Right? Freedom of religion, the only religion was religion of the king. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Freedom of the press, no, the king was what they told you was happening. So everything they came up with was a freedom that the king took away from their people. So the exact opposite of British rule, the exact opposite of a single person in power. No oligarchy, no dictatorship, or any kind of fascist state where you're a slave to the state instead of the state
Mm-hmm.
giving their rights back to the people. So,
Yeah, and
and
that's that
the
move from
United
again nepotism to democracy or republic or whatever. Anyways, but just
the nepotism.
the
See, having said
royalty
what I
thing is like
said,
the ultimate of nepotism. Like if
like
you
having
are the
said what I
king's
said,
son, you will become the king. That's like the ultimate
yeah.
pinnacle of
Having said
nepotism,
what I said, nepotism goes against the spirit of our Constitution.
right? Yeah, that's it. So if there are some things, anyways, we don't have to get all into that. But those are some of the things, like you said, the Kennedy example, like I said, the Jared Kushner example. Those things kind of just grate me the wrong way. It smells of that
They don't
oligarchy.
smell
It
good,
smells of
right?
that political class that we talked about before. It smells of those royalty, the royal class.
See, here's the thing: you never heard any kind of controversy with Jared Kushner except for getting top secret clearance. He had a little trouble doing that, but they never used their power to do anything big. They didn't take any money. They didn't. They didn't do anything, untowardly. They used all of their power to help the American people. So, in this case,
I did hear
Trump is using
I did hear
nepotism
some
for
things. I'm sorry. There are
what you hear. Well,
there are
they're
some
all doing
stories. I'm
some
just saying.
things.
I mean, I know that different information sources don't give all the information, but I mean, there are stories out there. It will just
Of
be
course.
oftentimes these things, and it's an unfortunate part of the political game in the United States now. Is it's like it's fake news. It's like, well,
Yeah.
like you, I do.
It's,
All I'm saying is that I do hear people talking about this. You might believe them or not, but they do talk about that Jared and oh shoot, what is the daughter's name? Ivanka.
Ivanka.
Ivanka. Yeah,
Ivanka.
there was personal enrichment going on, but again, that's neither here nor there. I don't want to get into a whole debate on that, but I'm just saying
The
there
only
are
one
people that were
I heard,
talking about that. Like again, there are bubbles of information in the United States. I totally get that. Totally understand it. I would just say that. I would just say like, yeah. I mean, I have heard stories about abuses given the Trump connections. Yeah.
Fred, the only one I've heard using nepotism in order to enrich himself was Biden. Getting the Ukrainian prosecutor fired, getting his son a job at a gas company making $150,000 a month that he was unqualified for. All this using his power as vice president to get his son all this stuff. Plus, the
But
cash
doesn't that
payouts
sound
to China.
exactly the same as a president giving his son-in-law a lot of jobs? Like for me, you got to understand. Like you say these things, and it's blowing my mind
But he
how it's
pressured.
just the exact
It's
same
not like
thing. And that it was just like
foreign.
what a double standard to set. And to say the whataboutism also is like, well, what about that guy? It's like I just said, like Kennedy doing the thing for his brother was wrong. I agree, it's wrong.
How?
But that's why I would say like you've got to
But I'm trying to
at
tell you.
least admit that there's some kind of nepotism going on within the Trump family before you can start throwing stones at the
I
Biden
did.
glass house.
I did admit it to you.
No, but
I
you just said
said
that there was no proven abuse of that power of Ivanka
but it's
or Jared Kushner, and then you
but
wanted to turn over to Hunter Biden. It was like, okay, yeah, I agree. That's not cool either. I will agree with you there, but you didn't actually turn the corner to say that again. It's wrong what how Ivanka and Jared were treated within the White House and how they were able to
all right. I'm
profit
biased. I
from
gotta
that.
say it.
I'm
I
just
am
saying. I'm
biased.
just saying.
No,
Like
dude.
I'm trying to give you golden cones here. I'm just saying.
I'm biased. I'll say it. I am biased. I
Okay.
want Trump to be president.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I,
Yeah.
I am very, very disappointed right now. You don't
Fair
know how
enough. That's
Biden is
true.
fucking everything up right now. I mean, he even pissed Canada off. How bad of a president do you have to be? 24 hours into your administration, you piss off Canada.
How did? Oh, I didn't hear that one. Please, please, no.
He
Tell me.
killed
I'm not.
the Keystone Pipeline.
Oh, he pissed off Alberta for sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait, no, no, your prime minister was up in arms about this. What's his name, Trudeau? He didn't like it. Not him.
Yeah, he didn't really want pipelines. I'm just
I mean,
yeah, those are politics at this time.
11,000 jobs in
Definitely,
America.
they're no 100%. Sorry, I shouldn't have poo-pooed your idea. You're 100% right. There's a good portion of Canadians that don't like it because 15 or 20% of the economy of Canada is resource based. So if we lose a major kind of, and I think they've
Yeah,
already built a bunch of the pipeline too. So it's like shit.
yeah, you
That's
guys
money down the
want to
drain.
sell your oil to
There are a lot of
America.
people that are not happy with that. You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
You guys want to sell your oil. You don't want. Well, what are you going to do with it? You going to drink it? You want to sell it. We
I'm
don't pay.
You'll pay for it. You'll pay for us to send it to Texas. They'll get it refined. They'll sell it back to us. You're right. We want to sell our raw resource. I'm of the mind that we should refine it here. But you're right. There's a lot of Canadians that want to ship off the crude to the States to refine it to sell back to us. But you're right. No, you're absolutely right. It will impoverish Canada. It's a move that will reduce our revenue without a doubt.
I think it's a major
Without a doubt.
economic
It's
hit.
true.
I think you lose 10% of your GDP on just on that.
I think if we, maybe I said it before, but if we kind of turn the tap down on our oil extraction, the oil will still be in the ground, and we just
Yeah,
sell it in 10 years rather than today, we will have doubled our money. If we refine it ourselves versus letting some other place refine it, we will have tripled our money.
yeah.
These are just smart ways in my mind of using our own resources. But if we think short term, we will sell $1 now. If we wait 10 years, that's worth $6. If we decide
Right.
to make a refinery
Yeah, but what do you
and
do?
wait until the
But what do
oil
you do if
prices
you want
will
to be
definitely
down
go
10
up.
years?
I mean, it's just smart money management. And it's so obvious. It's so painfully obvious that even when I say it to you, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's obvious, right? It's obvious if we refine it ourselves, instead of sending crude, which is $50 a
Right.
barrel, to send gasoline, which is worth however much you call it in a gallon, but there's 50 gallons in a freaking barrel. I mean, $50 a barrel is this goddamn steal. It's worth like, I don't know, it's worth way more, but there's processing value. So I'm going to say 3 times more as refined gasoline, diesel, jet oil, engine oil. I mean, we're dumb. We are really dumb to send it in a pipeline down to Texas to get refined down there. I'm just saying. I mean, if you were a Canadian, would you sell crude oil to the States? If you were being financially responsible with Canadian oil, would you?
Without a refinery? Where else am I going to sell it to?
Would you build a refinery?
I would build a refinery.
You would build a refinery. It's obvious. It's obvious that the price of oil will double in the next 10 years. That's obvious. That's a better... I'm just saying. It's better as a savings account in the ground than selling it for cheap gas right now while the market is flush with gas and no one's driving. I'm just saying. But I have no power, so whatever. But you're right. Canadians, there are a good portion that don't like Biden's decision to cancel the Keystone Pipeline. I agree. That is true. I just think they're wrong. That's all I'm saying.
You think the Canadians are wrong? You think Biden's
They're wrong. The people that don't, I think that Biden did Canada a favor, but Canadians don't understand that that's a favor. Because if we block that pipeline, that slows down our production. That means that we'll have more in 10 years to sell at double price. That means that there's going to be a pressure to build our own damn refinery rather than counting on Texas refineries. I think it's good for Canada. But
you know how long it takes to build a refinery?
It takes a while. We should wait. Gas is going to worse. I say 2 times. I think that's a low ball. I think that's 3 times. I'll we'll write it down right now. 2031, January 23rd, the price of gas will be 3 times more than it is right now. It was $1.16 a liter Canadian when I drove by earlier. I will bet $20. No, but I'm just saying, I just think that, it'll slow our production down, and that's actually a good thing for us. We don't think it is because we get quick cash in the short term, or we could wait long term and get big cash. That's just when you're a resource country, you got to play the long game.
Fraser, I remember a couple of years ago, it wasn't even like 5 years ago, you guys are very reluctant to even dig in the Alberta sands to get the oil out. And now that you guys are doing that, you're making a lot of money, especially Alberta, a lot of money off of that. So it's not like you guys weren't despondent for money to begin with, but when you open the sands, you guys made money hand over fist.
Hand over fist, 100%.
Such a boom to Canada. I mean, America was begging Alberta, dig, get this oil out. We can use it. We can refine fuel.
When you're in a negotiating position, and the other one is begging you for something, what should you do?
Oh yeah, I would wait. You wait till the prices go up. Right? It's natural.
I'm just saying. I understand. If I was an American, I would be in agreement with you. I'd be like, fucking hell, open up that pipeline. They're going to sell it to us cheap. They're going to sell it to us. We have to, if we wait 10 years, it's going to be 6 times. I agree with you. If I was an American, and I was smart economically, I would build that damn pipeline. I'm in agreement. I'm just saying, as a Canadian. But if I'm on the other side, I 100% agree with you. Try and not fleece your neighbors, but I mean, get a good price. Why not? But I'm just saying, as a Canadian, I'm just saying, 2 different sides.
At the end of the day, with 2 not rival governments, but with two governments looking out for their respective countries, so you do what's best for your respective country.
It's true. I think that's natural. You want to, you don't want to piss off your neighbors either. It's like, no, I don't want to give you my lawnmower this weekend. Fuck you.
Yeah.
But if you were just to lend him your lawnmower, well, next week you get to borrow his boat or something. I don't know. You want to be neighborly.
Absolutely.
I think that's also, I don't know. I think it is. I imagine that's also international politics. some similar principles apply, I'm sure. But
America has a very good rapport with Canada so far, so
I
we're
think
doing
it's
good.
I think it's still solid. I think it's still solid. They talk about like international partners. I think Canada and United States, we're going to be pretty strong partners going forward. I think
And
even
how
for
do
the
you?
states, Canada is its number one trading partner.
Yeah,
For Canada,
I
for
think so.
sure, the states is, but I mean, states. I mean, we're further down on the not on the list, but I think we're still number one. I think that's true.
have you ever have you ever watched South Park?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how they picture
Hate.
Canadians.
What is it? Fuck. What was the thing in their film? What was it?
Cyrus and Phillip was the biggest
Their
export.
biggest thing, yeah. Jared and Philip. But there was a movie they made, and they had a whole Canada song. It was "Fuck Canada"
Holy,
or "Screw
South
Canada."
Park is bigger, longer, and uncut.
Yes, but they had some Canada song, and it got stuck in my head. But I
What was da 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 da?
Canada. Yeah, but how did it go after that? Like exactly, I got this da 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 da. Was it "Fuck Canada" or "Hate Canada"?
Sure. Something like screw Canada. We ended up going to I don't know nuclear
Good
war.
God, oh, this is terrible. This is my youth. Back when I was. Oh my God.
Well, South Park was great though. I mean, you guys, I don't see how your heads move like that. I mean, your
They
heads
were
keep
like,
on.
they were just like such. Exactly, we had like the different way that our heads moved. In fact,
Your head came completely off when you talk. Oh, it was funny. I think of you. I have three friends in Canada. Oh, four actually.
blame
You,
Canada.
Sean. I got my friend Ronald. I think he lives in Quebec also. And I got a friend in that girl in Alberta.
Oh, no, Alberta, yeah. So
Yeah, so
there you go. You got like you're like Canada friendly. You got
yeah.
Canada friends. I got it. It's blame Canada. That's what I was trying to think
Oh,
about.
blame Canada! Blame Canada!
Exactly.
Blame Canada!
Blame Canada because yeah, everything is their fault somehow. It was a silly.
Um,
Yeah.
there was a whole movie, Terrence and Phillip. All the kids were going. Because Terrence and Phillip, the whole spiel was farting on each other
Oh
and
yeah.
cursing. And the one song that came out with that was "You're an Uncle Fucker, Uncle Fucker,
Oh my
you
God.
fucker,
Yeah.
Uncle Fucker."
Oh my God. It was this most lewd. Like it was. And usually, it's the way Canadians see it. It's like the American comedy is very lewd and very crass,
Yeah.
and Canadian
Oh,
comedies or Canadian shows are usually pretty subdued,
I
fairly
guarantee it was a
family
low blow
friendly.
against American comedy. I guarantee it was a low blow against American comedy.
It was just, I think it was, and yeah, South Park does that. They kind of flip things. Fuck you, Uncle Fucker. It's like, holy shit, Uncle, what the hell kind of, who says Uncle Fucker? That's a, oh, man, I grew up in a, like a more conservative area, but it was like, that was pretty, anyways.
Yeah.
That's how Americans see Canadians. Okay, okay. That's all right. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. No, I'm just kidding. Because we have the.
Actually, before I knew anything about you guys personally, I saw Canadians as very polite, very liberal, very pro-life, not wanting to put in the death penalty for anybody. Um, I don't really know what you guys exported or imported, but I knew you guys had like a very polite society.
Polite. Yeah, there's a politeness to it. I don't know if that's anyway, we try and there are people that try and be polite. There are definitely people that are not polite. I've met those ones too.
Well,
But
and I
like there's
know
the Uncle
a
Fucker
huge
ones, there's Uncle Fucker Canadians for sure.
well, I knew a huge part of at least the eastern part of Canada was bilingual, mostly French, like
Hmm.
Quebec, and towards the west, or the yeah, right, it was the west was more English speaking.
A lot more
Was
English
more
speaking.
more sparsely inhabited too, because the more you went east in Canada, the more dense population becomes.
Is more dense. And usually north too. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, east is definitely more dense than west. But even across, like if you take, what did they say? 98% of the population of Canada lives within, let's say, 100 miles of the border, something like that. Like it's just this strip of land. If you just trace along the U.S. border, something like that. Like 90% lives within that distance of the border. Once you go north of that, it's just
Just too cold.
very,
Yeah.
very sparse. Like so sparse.
Well, it's probably that has a lot to do with the cold, being
For
close to
sure.
the Arctic Circle.
Cold and trade and everything, like historically speaking,
Yeah.
like what anyways, cold definitely. The weather. Oh, that's what I said earlier. Like the people that left the savannah and the Mediterranean to go north 30,000 years ago, apparently. I had to study it up. They
Right.
went to Northern Europe, out into Asia now. 15,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, somewhere around then, they crossed over Siberia and came into North America. And the first
Right.
Canadians are still living in the friggin' north of Canada. Like the Inuit people, like this, like there's still communities living up there. And it's kind of a joke, but it was like people that showed that human beings are able to live in these environments. That's the reason why we have to live through winter. Because if the very first people that left the Mediterranean, they went up and they're like, oh shit, no, let's go back home. They just never decided to leave that warm tropical climate or warm climate. Then we wouldn't have to live through these winters. So it's those Italians, basically, it's their fault. The
Yeah.
first attempt, they were living around the Mediterranean. They decided, hey, let's go into the mountains. Why not? Let's just walk up here for a while. No.
Blame the Italians. That's all.
Blame Italia. Blame Italia.
Italia.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Okay, sorry. Are we getting silly maybe now? I don't know.
I think maybe that marks the end of this one.
that was a good. Yeah. Okay. Let's end on blame Italy.
Why not? The token Italian here.
Well, we almost got to blame Canada. I was trying to flip that on its head a little bit.
I
That's it.
watched that movie quite a few times. It's funny. I
So,
thought like,
yeah.
I don't know. See, the creators of South Park, I don't know if they're Canadian. I know they're Mormon. I don't know about much. I don't think they're Canadian at all.
I don't know. I don't think so. I always thought of them as American, but they sure have a lot of Canadian content. Like they bring up Canada a lot. Well, a fair amount, anyways. I don't know. I'm
That's
gonna
what I
have to look that one up
mean.
afterwards. Like if they're Canadian, I just thought they were American,
I think
but
they
I
are. I
knew they
think
were
they are.
Mormon. I also knew they were Mormon.
All right.
Anyways, yeah,
Oh, wait, Fraser. I want you. Could you stop just recording? I want to talk to you privately.
sure.